So yeah, this story is nuts. There are independent biolabs that people are, yeah, in Vegas and California. It is so strange. I'm not sure what to think of it. And there is a person that got sick and is in the hospital that was living in this house that didn't even know that the biolab was there.
Our 8 News Now investigators breaking yet more news about that biolab that was raided over the weekend. Documents we obtained reveal several people got sick from it. 8 News Now investigator David Charnes breaking that story. And David, what are you learning about it tonight?
Well, these new documents say several people became sick from that suspected lab inside a house that police and the FBI are labeling as an Airbnb or short-term rental. Metro showing this video of the incident.
It was in an Airbnb. I did not catch that part. I do not like that.
Inside of that lab, inside that Northeast Valley's home garage. We've learned a person tipped off the FBI in early January that that garage was locked and that there were fridges running inside. A person telling those investigators that it smelled like a hospital with a, quote, foul, stale, stagnant air smell. Now, documents say several days after entering that garage, 2 people became, quote, deathly ill. They said they couldn't get out of bed, and several other people had gotten sick there before. Also learning items from this lab were moved from a different location here in the valley, possibly from several years ago when that location failed to get a state license. Now, as we first reported over the weekend, this lab is connected to a lab the feds actually raided 3 years ago in 2023. That location there in Reedley, California, outside Fresno. Inside, officials found similar equipment and pathogens like HIV and malaria. Court documents in that case mention Las Vegas.
That's sketch. I'm trying to think of something like somewhat harmless that you could have in a biolab, but they're obviously not cooking meth, because that was my first thought. When I saw a headline that somebody was caught with a biolab, I was like, what was that, a meth lab or what's going on? And no.
And possible warehouses here. And today, I asked the city manager for that community about her reaction to this latest lab. What was your reaction when you saw over the weekend that all these same people were involved in yet another potential biolab, but this time in Las Vegas?
I will say that I was not surprised. I mean, I have sympathy for Vegas, and I feel very bad for that community that they had to endure what they endured over the weekend. But we were not surprised when we heard about it way back in 2023 when this case hit. Through simple search docs, Google, etc., we found multiple connections to Las Vegas, and a congressional investigation that was done on our case, which is public, showed some ties to warehouses in Vegas.
So now the question is why this lab existed if it may have been on the radar, someone's radar 3 years ago. The 8 News Now investigators first to report how Metro arrested this man, 55-year-old Ori Solomon, the property manager of that home, learning today he runs multiple short-term rentals. Prosecutors say he's here on a non-immigrant visa. He can't own any guns, but documents say during that raid on Saturday, officers seized rifles and handguns from him. They say he's been in contact with the man in federal custody connected to the raid in California and whose business owns this Northeast Valley home. Solomon appeared in federal court this afternoon. He's going to remain in custody for at least a couple more days until his next hearing. And in that hearing, we could hear more charges filed against him as Metro and the FBI are awaiting those results to find out exactly what they seized from that house. No indication right now there is any further threat. We, of course, also reached out to Airbnb about all this, and I've not heard back. I'm David.
There was another update on this.
Of the suspected biolab operating inside a home in a Las Vegas neighborhood.
This is
an arrest.
Like the fact that this guy had a business that was set up and had these in 2 different states. Not only that, but it was in an Airbnb that people were constantly coming in and out of. That's just crazy.
Report on the property manager was just released. The report suggests that this operation may have been in the works for a while.
And in about 3 minutes, we'll have a full report on how the Vegas biolab is connected to the lab found in Reedley. For now, Will Silverstein from our sister station in Las Vegas brings us more tonight.
Multiple refrigerators, red, brown, unknown liquids in gallon-sized containers, and refrigerated vials with unknown liquids.
That is what FBI and Las Vegas Metro teams uncovered over the course of a 3-day ground operation on a home off of Sugar Springs Drive in Northeast Las Vegas. The FBI and Metro giving media an update on the investigation earlier this week, detailing their operation.
Resources were mobilized from across Clark County the city of Las Vegas, as well as our other state and federal partners, to include some from outside of our region, to ensure that this operation could be conducted safely.
But several questions remain unanswered, including who is Ori Solomon? He is the property manager whose arrest report arrived at our newsroom Tuesday morning. In it, some shocking details. Solomon is revealed to be an Israeli citizen, and based off of whistleblower statements to police and what investigators have dug up, Solomon is estimated to manage approximately 37 Airbnbs and other short-term rentals. Among those short...
Bro, 37 Airbnbs, and he's an Israeli citizen. What's going on, man? What's going on?
Short-term rentals, according to sources, is the house on Sugar Springs.
He's 55 years old, and his initial charge was a charge of disposing and discharging hazardous waste.
That leads us to question number 2. What was Solomon's relationship with the owners? According to investigators, it is extensive. One of the property owners, Jibe Zhu, also known as David Herr, is currently locked up in a California prison awaiting trial for his alleged involvement in the Reedley lab. But being holed up does not stop contact between Zhu and Solomon. Zhu is believed to have made 6,945 calls since being interred. 467 of those calls have been to Solomon. Another 3,500 calls have been to Wang Xiaoyan, the other owner of the Sugar Springs home in Las Vegas. And finally, what has happened to people living inside the home? Well, according to the whistleblower and other sources in the report, people entering the garage of the property would get deathly ill. That includes the whistleblower, while an additional remark in the report noted that a resident of the property was hospitalized with respiratory illness.
Wow.
And Fresno County leaders are addressing that disturbing discovery we just showed you out of Las Vegas because it also applies to a similar biolab discovered in Reedley almost 4 years ago.
Fox 26 Daniel Romero reports on why they're calling for now.
Years ago? What is this? What happened years ago? What happened to the people years ago?
Now more federal oversight.
The number one message county and city officials want to reassure the public tonight is that there is no public safety threat. This comes after the FBI was at the previous illegal biolab on Sunday. And with the recent discovery of another illegal biolab in Vegas, officials here say they weren't surprised.
Fresno County leaders stood united Tuesday addressing renewed concerns after a biological lab discovered in Las Vegas was linked to the illegal biolab in Reedley in 2022.
It took what happened a week ago in Las Vegas, I think, to open the eyes of both the FBI as well as hopefully the California Department of Public Health, too, that this really is a significant issue.
The biolab held deadly pathogens along with over 1,000 transgenic mice.
That means genetically modified mice to have human components or human capabilities when you are testing them.
Destroying it was its own battle, costing $350,000 to destroy.
We had a very old local ordinance for property maintenance that allowed us to go after the property owner for those costs.
Reedley City Manager Nicole Ziba reassuring the public none of those biologicals are still in the lab, a thought many had when word got around the FBI was in Reedley.
It was a sealed search warrant, and so I cannot tell you exactly what they were looking for. What I can tell you right now is that what remains in 850 I Street after Sunday is the state embargoed medical test kits, the pregnancy tests, and the COVID tests.
The city of Reedley still protecting those materials under state control in the building that has had about 3 break-ins since 2023.
And that is why we continue to press on the state of California to do something with those tests. We've had vagrants break in, we've had gang members break in, and it is up to the city of Reedley to try to protect what is embargoed by the state of...
What? Did she just say homeless people and gang members are breaking in to what is they're breaking into the labs or they're breaking into the what is happening?
And that is an unfair burden for the Reedley taxpayers.
City and county leaders say they had little state or federal guidance at the time and had to rely on court orders to shut the lab down and destroy materials. Now, with a similar lab uncovered in Las Vegas, officials are pushing for federal legislation to regulate private labs.
I work to complement those local efforts by introducing legislation HR 5747, the Prevent Illegal Laboratories and Protecting Public Health Act. This bipartisan legislation strengthens federal oversight and gives authorities the tools needed to identify.
I mean, it's already illegal to have it's already illegal to have unauthorized biolabs, bro. What are you doing? We're gonna make a law. We're gonna make more laws about this. Figure out what the hell this is first, bro.